Hi, my name's Ian Holloway, and I'm really pleased to be presenting this presentation for MBL, which is about devolution as it applies in the UK and devolution as it affects us personally and, importantly, as employers professionally as well. So here's an agenda slide, and I want to talk about briefly what do we mean by the word devolution. Then I want to talk about the UK's parliamentary structure, which leads us onto the importance of the 4 UK budgets there are. Often we hear about the UK budget, which is very important, the one done in London by the Chancellor of the Exchequer. However, as we go through the presentation, you will see that the UK is made up of 4 countries, and each of the countries has budgets. So in actual fact, we should pay attention to the budget that's done in Westminster, in the House of Commons, absolutely. But we also, as professionals and personally, we need to pay attention to the other budgets that occur in the other nations that make up the United Kingdom. So then I want to talk about devolution as it affects us as employers. So devolution as it affects us professionally, and then devolution as it affects us personally. I live in a devolved nation. I live in Wales, and absolutely I pay attention to the Welsh budget as well as the UK budget. The UK budget probably affects me professionally more than the Welsh budget, but the Welsh budget impacts me very, very personally because of the things that are actually devolved to Wales, which we'll go through. Then I've got a lot of slides that I've hidden, or there's actually three slides, consolidated slides, that I've largely hidden except the first one, because I want to talk about the different bodies that exist, largely in Great Britain, compared to the similar body that exists in Northern Ireland. The same with some forms that affect us professionally. We've got one set of forms that apply in Great Britain, but another different set of forms that apply in Northern Ireland. The same with legislation as well. So I'm pointing out the important legislation, so the governing legislation, and then the specific legislation as it applies to employers. So that's what I'm going to talk about. And the first thing is, what is devolution? Well, devolution simply is where you've got powers that are controlled centrally, and they're devolved out to somebody else. So normally they would be controlled centrally, and we're talking about largely Westminster would control them. However, the government that's in power chooses to devolve them from Westminster to somebody else. And that's a feature of the current Prime Minister. It's 2026. The current Prime Minister is very keen of devolving powers away from Westminster.